Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. This is an early reading, alright? As you guys can see, it's really early in the morning, but I'm gonna read chapter 12, and throughout the day, after I'm done reading, where is it, the page that I saved at? Hold on. Chapter, no. Hopefully around the end of the day, I'll reach around, let's see what chapter I should stop at. Probably, hopefully at the end of the day, I reach chapter 20. And then I'll read that at night. And yeah, today, right now is like, what time is it? It's 8:27. And yeah. Everybody who's having a bad day, I hope that at some point you will find peace. Your hatred will never lead to anything. Nothing of the sorts that you can or can't do. You can miss a person, but I hope you can somewhat empathize that you need to view the perspective in a different sense. You need to empathize. If you can empathize, you learn that skill. You realize, holy, I need to start having an open mind. Be open-minded. And what can you do but keep on living? Alright, starting Thomas Harris in his book The Red Dragon, the terrifying classic that introduced Hannibal Lecter. Attorney Byron Metcalf took off his tie at 5 o'clock, made himself a drink, and put his feet up on his desk. Sure you won't have one. At another time, Graham picked the cockle burrs off his cuffs. Was grateful from the air conditioning. I didn't know the Jacobys very well, Metcalf said. They'd only been there for 3 months. My wife and I were there for drinks a couple times. A Jacoby came to me for a new world soon. Soon after he had transferred me here, that's how I met him. But you're an executor. Yes, his wife was listed first as executor, then me as alternate, in case she was deceased or infirm. He had a brother in Philadelphia, but I gather they were close. They weren't close. You were an assistant district attorney. Yeah, 1968 to 72. I ran for DEA in 72. It was close, but I lost. I'm not sorry now. How do you see what happened here? Mr. Metcalf, the first thing I thought about was Joseph Jablowski, the labor leader. Graham nodded. In crime with motive power in case disguised as an insane attack. We went over Ed Jacoby's papers with a fine-tooth comb. Jerry Estridge from the DA's office and I. Nobody stood there to each money off Ed. Jacoby's death. He made a big salary. He had some parents paying off, but he spent it most half as fast as it came in. Everything was going to go to the wife, with a little land in California entailed to the kids and their descendants. He had a small spendthrift trust set for the surviving son. It'll pay his way through 3 more years of college. I'm sure he'll still be a freshman by then. Niles Jacoby. Yeah, the kid gave Ed a big pain in the ass. He lived with his mother in California, went into Chino for theft. I gather his mother's a flake. Ed went out there to see about him last year. Brought him back to Birmingham and put him in school in Bradwell's Community College. Tried to keep him at home. But he dumped on the other kids and made it unpleasant for everybody. Mrs. Jacoby put up with it for a while, but finally they moved him into a dorm. Where was he? On the night of June 28th, Metcalf's eyes were hooded as he looked at Graham. The police wondered about that, and so did I. I went to a movie and then went back to school. It's verified. Besides, he has typo blood. Mr. Graham, I have nobody to pick up my wife within half an hour. We can talk tomorrow if you feel like. Tell me how I can help. What the? Well, no one's watching. Tell me how I can help you. I'd like to see Jacoby's personal effects, diaries, pictures, whatever. There's not much of that. They lost everything in a fire in Detroit. They moved down here and nothing suspicious. Ed was welding in the basement and sparks got into some paint he had stored down there and the house went up. There's some personal correspondence. I have it in the lockboxes with the small valuables. I don't remember any diaries. Everything else is in storage. Now's may have some pictures, but I doubt it. Tell you what, I'm going to the court at 9:30 in the morning, but I could get to the bank to look at the stuff and come back for you afterward. Fine, Graham said. One another thing, I could use copies of everything to do the probate claims against the estate, any contents of the will correspondence. I like to have it all paper. The Atlanta's DA's office asked me for that already. They're comparing the lead estate in Atlanta. I know, Metcalf said. Still, I like the copies for myself. Okay, copies to you? You don't really think it's money, though, do you? No, I just keep hoping the same name will come up there in Atlanta. In Atlanta. So do I. Hold on. Okay. Students housing Bradwell Community College was 4 small dormitory buildings set up all littered quadrangle of Britain earth. A stereo war was in process when Graham got there. Opposing sets of speakers on the model-style balconies blared of each across the squad. A kiss for the 1812 overture. A water balloon arched high in the air. It burst on the ground 10 feet from Graham. He ducked under the clothesline and stepped over the bicycle to get through the sitting room from the suits. Now Jacoby shared the room to Jacoby's bedroom from ajar, and music blasted through the crack. Graham knocked. No response. He pushed the door open. He pushed open the door. Okay. A tall boy with a spotty face sat on one of the twin beds, sucking on 4-foot bong pipes. A girl in the dungarees lay on her bed. A boy had jerked around to face Graham. He was struggling to think. I'm looking for Niles Jacoby. The boy appeared stupefied. Graham switched off the stereo. I'm looking for Niles Jacoby. Just some stuff for my asthma, man. Don't you ever knock? Where's Niles Jacoby? Fuck if I know. What do you want to do? What do you want from him? What do you want him for? Graham showed him the tin. Try real hard to remember. Oh shit, the girl said. Narc, goddammit. I ain't worth it. Look, let's talk about this for a minute, man. Let's talk about where Jacoby is. I think I can find out for you, the girl said. Graham waited while she asked the other rooms. Everywhere she went, commodes flushed. There were no traces of Niles Jacoby's in the room. One photograph of Jacoby's family had a dresser. Graham lifted a glass, melting ice off of it, and wiped it off away with the wet ring in his sleeve. Girl returned. Try the Hateful Snake, she said. The Hateful Snake bar was a storefront with the windows painted dark green. The vehicle parked outside were not assortment. Big trucks looking bobtail without their trailers. Compact cars, Lila convertibles, old Dodges and Chevrolets crippled with high rear ends for the drag strip. Look for full-dress Harley Davidsons, an air conditioner mounted in the transom over the door. Dipped steadily into the sidewalk. Graham ducked around the dribble and went inside. The place was crowded. The place was crowded, of disinfected and stale canoe. The bartender, a husky woman in overalls, reached over her head at the service bar to hand Graham his Coke. She was the only woman there. Niles Jacoby, A dark and razor thin was at the jukebox. He put the money on the machines, but the man beside him pushed the buttons. Jacoby looked like he was in a salute schoolboy, but the one selecting the music did not. Jacoby's companion was a straight mixture. He had a boyish face with a knobby, muscular body. He wore a t-shirt and jeans worn right over the objects in his pockets. His arms were stationary, were naughty with muscle. He had large, ugly hands, one professional tattoo on his left forearm, born to fuck. A crude jailhouse on his other arm. Randy, his short jail haircut, had grown up unevenly as he reached for the button on the light jukebox. Graham saw a small shaved patch on his forearm. Graham left a cold place in his stomach. He followed Niles, Jacoby, and Randy through the crowd to the back to the room. They sat in a booth. Graham stopped 2 feet from the table. Niles, my name is Will Graham. I need to talk to you for a few minutes. Randy looked up with a bright, false smile. One of his front teeth was dead. Do I know you? No, Niles, I want to talk to you. Niles arched a quizzical eyebrow. Graham wondered what happened to him and Chino. We were having a private conversation here. But out, Randy said. Graham looked thoughtfully at the marred muscular forearms, the dot of adhesive in the hook of the elbow, the shaved patch where Randy had tested the edge of his knife fighter's mange. I'm afraid of Randy. Fire or fall back. Did you hear me? Randy said. But out. Graham unbuttoned his jacket and put his identification on the table. Sit still, Randy. If you try to get up, you're gonna have 2 nabels. I'm sorry, sir. Instant inmate, sincerity. Randy, I want you to do something for me. I want you to reach into your left back pocket. Just use 2 fingers. You'll find a 5-inch knife in there with a flicket clamped to the blade. Put it on the table. Thank you. Graham dropped the knife into his pocket. It felt greasy. Now, in your other pocket is your wallet. Get it out. You sold some blood today, didn't you? So what? So hand me the slip they gave you. The one you show next time, the blood bank. Spread it out on the table. Randy had type O blood. Scratch Randy. How long have you been out in jail? 3 weeks? Who's your parole officer? I'm not on parole. That's probably a lie. Graham wanted to arrest Randy. You could get him for carrying a knife over the legal length, being in a place in a liquor license with a parole violation. Graham knew he was angry at Randy because he had feared him. Yeah, get out. I don't know what I can tell you. I didn't know your father very well, Niles Jacoby said, as Graham drove him to school. He left Mother when I was 3, and I didn't see him after that. Mother wouldn't have it. He came to see you last spring. Yes, at Chino. You know about that. I'm just trying to get it straight what happened. He was a visitor, uptight, and trying not to look around. So many people treated it like a zoo. I have heard a lot about him from Mother, but he didn't look so bad. He was just a man standing there in a tacky sport coat. What did he say? Well, I expect him either to jump right in my shit or to be real guilty. That's the way it mostly goes in visitors. He just asked me if I thought I could go to school. He said he'd go for custody if I'd go to school and try. If you have to help yourself a little, try to help yourself. And I'll see you get in school. And like that. How long before you go out? 2 weeks. Nows, did you ever talk about your family while you were in Chino? To your cellmates or anybody? Now Jacoby looked at Graham quickly. Oh, I see. No, not about my father. I had thought about him in years. I haven't thought about him in years. Why would I talk about him? How about you here? Did you ever take any of your friends over to your parents' house? Parents? Not parents. She was not my mother. Did you ever take anybody here? School friends or rough trade, Officer Graham? That's right. No, never. Not once. Did he ever mention any kind of threat? Was he ever disturbed about anything in the last month or two before it happened? He was disturbed the last time I talked to him, but it was just my grades. I had a lot of cuts. He bought me 2 alarm clocks. There wasn't anything that I know of. Do you have any personal papers of his? Correspondence? Photographs? Anything? No. Do you have pictures of the family? It's on the dresser in your room, near the bong. That's not my bong. I wouldn't put that filthy anything in my mouth. I need the picture. I'll have it copied and send it back to you. What else do you have? Jacoby's cigarette took a cigarette out of his pack and patterned his pockets for matches. That's all. I can't imagine why they gave me that to me. My father smiling to Mrs. Jacoby. And all little munchkins you can have. You can have it. And he never looked like that to me. Graham needed to know that Jacoby's, the real acquaintances in Birmingham, were little help. Byron Metcalf gave him the run of the lockboxes. He read the tin stack of letters, mostly business, and poked through the jewelry and silver. For 3 hot days, he worked in the warehouse where the Jacoby's household goods were stored. Metcalf helped him at night. Every crate on the little pallet was open, and the contents examined. Police photographs helped Graham to see where things had been in the house. Most of the furnishings were new, bought with the insurance from the Detroit fire. The Jacobys hardly had time to leave their marks on their precisions. One time, a bedside table with traces of fingerprints powder still held on. Bedside table with traces of fingerprints powder still on it. Held Graham's attention in the center of the tabletop with a blob of green wax. By the second time, he wondered if the killer had liked candlelight. The Birmingham forensic unit was good about sharing. The blurred print at the end of the nose was the best Birmingham and Jimmy Prince in Washington could do with the soft drink. Can do about from the tree. What the? For a second time, he wondered if the killer liked candlelights. The Birmingham forensics unit was good about sharing. The blurred print of the end of the nose was the best Birmingham and Jimmy Price in Washington could do with the soft drink canned from the tree. The FBI Laboratory Firearms and Toolmark section reported 1 severed branch. The blades have clipped it very thick. With a shallow pitch, it had been done with a bolt cutter. Document section of a referred the mark with a cut in the bark to Asian Studies Department at Langley. Graham sat on the packing case at the warehouse, read only long report. Asian Studies advised that the mark was a Chinese character, which meant you hit it or you hit it on the head. An expression sometimes used in gambling, it was considered a positive or lucky sign. The character appeared at the mahjong piece, the Asian scholar said. It marked the Red Dragon. Oh wow, so the symbol found on the tree that he carved. And he cut the branch with the bolt cutters. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of interesting. Connections. Nobody saw it. Well, I'll stop at chapter 13. And then I'll get back to you guys at night. But it was nice reading this. But anyways, If you fear that nobody's in your life, you should know that it may be okay that they did the right thing. If you were in their position, you would probably do it. I was given multiple chances, and I failed them. And that's my biggest regret. I failed them, and I don't want to fail them again. And I don't want to fail anybody who ever felt that way. I should get my shit together. Well, anyways, have a good morning, evening, or night. Well, noon, afternoon, who knows? But I hope you find peace, and you need to be better, and you will be better. Do not sacrifice yourself.